Howlers, it's Max again. So you're interested in buying a mountain bike. This can get to a black hole of geometry, travel, wheel sizes, components, frame colors, frame sizes. There's so much to know about mountain biking, and that's why we're experts. So we're gonna help you out. We're gonna try and get you on the right bike for you. Let's get into it. So things to note, things to think about when you're getting into the sport is what you want to do with the sport. For some people, this question means you want to do everything. You want to ride all types of trails, you want to do cross-country epics, you want to rip bike parks, you want to do all the in-betweens of that. For some people like me, I like bike park the best. For other people, they like cross-country the best. So think about what excites you the most, maybe what is your ideal when you think of mountain biking, what you want to go do. That's a great entry point on what type of bike you need to start looking for, and that way you're not looking for a massive DH bike when you want to do 20-mile epics every day or something like that. A couple quick notes to help you guys know what I'm talking about so you're not getting confused on top of a video that's trying to help you not be confused. Is some buzzwords or some keywords that you need to keep in mind when we are talking about bikes later on in the video. So let's start out on this hardtail. Hardtail means there is no suspension in this area. Maybe it's down here, maybe it's up here, or up here. I don't know what bike you're looking at. But a hardtail has no rear suspension, and it can be a 29er, which is the size, the diameter, that's the right word, of wheel size. They can also be a 27.5, which is a smaller diameter. There used to be 26s, pour one out for them. They are not around as much anymore. We have never sold one, we never see them. That's okay, maybe they'll come back here in the future, but right now it's primarily 29 or 27.5. There is a new category of wheel size popping up, which is mixed wheel or mullet setup or 29, 27.5. That is a 29 in the front with a 27.5 out back, and those bikes like to party. Another thing you'll hear me talk about is travel. This is not a full suspension, but there's front and rear travel. And when I refer to the millimeters, 150, 130, 100 millimeters of travel, it just refers to how much the shock or fork has before it bottoms out, how many millimeters of travel. So if this is a 130 millimeter travel fork, it has 130 mils of travel before it explodes. On full suspensions, they have rear travels, which would go around here. They can be anywhere from 100 mils to 200 mils, it doesn't matter. That just means the amount of millimeters that the shock has to compress before it bottoms out and then causes a cataclysmic explosion that would then in turn knock all the trees down in one fell swoop within, I think it's like a 10-mile radius. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking at travel. We're gonna talk about hardtails, let's get into it. Hardtails can range from any type of material, steel, aluminum, titanium, carbon. There's probably more out there, plastic, CNC, wood, I don't know. There's all types of them. They've been around forever. They're tried and true. They're great for starting out on. You can learn how to pick your line better. They're not very forgiving, but you can learn how to be a better rider and get faster. It's easier to learn how to jump. They're typically not big travel forks, so they're very snappy. They're great for doing cross country. You can rip them anywhere. You can really make them whenever you want. That's why hardtails are the most versatile bikes. They're awesome. Everybody should have one at least at one time in their mountain biking career. But yeah, hardtails are great for getting into it. The only caveat is we see a lot of the time customers come back in about 6 months. They've been ripping their hardtail, but now they've seen the full suspensions on the trail. They're getting a little envy and they want to jump up to a bigger travel bike. We see they get some trail envy when they're seeing these nice full suspensions roll down the trail. They want to pick one of those up. So when you're getting in full suspension, you're going to be paying a little bit more for the bike. It has a little more components. There's linkage now being involved in the rear suspension. So that's why they are more expensive out of the gate already. They've got linkage attached, they require a little more engineering. As you get into a full suspension, it doesn't necessarily gonna mean your budget's gonna go up a ton. There are still budget full suspensions that are great bikes when you're wanting to get into it. You just might have to do some upgrades as you go down the road and get into it heavier and heavier. But we're gonna focus on the trail category for full suspensions at this moment. There's all subcategories. There's cross country, down country, free ride, e-bikes, there's all types of different stuff. But for the sake of being simple and making sure you guys get what you need, we're just gonna focus on the trail category for full suspensions. This can be a 29er, 27.5, it doesn't matter. It can be a mullet bike as well. You're typically looking at about 120 mils of travel to 150 maybe. You could do more, you could do less, it doesn't matter. These bikes typically have a steeper head tube angle. So let's look at this bike really quick. This bike has a steeper head tube angle because this is a Yeti Arc, which is a cross-country style hardtail. The steeper head tube angle makes this bike way snappier. It's not real long and slack for keeping you controlled on the steeps. It's keeping you tight. It's keeping you in a good position to pedal. So trail bikes are trying to do everything packed into one bike. So they're typically gonna have maybe a little slacker head tube angle than this. Slacker meaning raked out, having that chopper look, you know, they're really sick. So they're gonna be pretty tight. They're gonna have a steep seat tube angle, keep you in the pedaling position that you need. And that's how a trail bike is gonna look. It may be a little slacker here and there depending on what brand you like. But these bikes are gonna be really good at pedaling. They're gonna be adept at descending. They're gonna be just like a Swiss Army knife. They can do anything. They necessarily don't like excel at doing cross country. They don't like excel at doing downhill, but they can get you anywhere you need to go. They're maybe not the best bike in one category, but they're gonna be great for everything. That's where most people land on bikes. You typically want to, if you're starting out or if you just want one bike, a trail bike is a great bike to go with. And if you're leaning more towards an enduro category, you might bump up into travel on a trail bike, or if you're like more interested in XC, you might go with a lighter travel trail bike just to kind of specialize but still be a versatile machine. That's what you're looking for when you're getting into a trail bike. So the next category up has been growing rapidly in the last 5 years as new races has been popping up, as new technology has been popping up. These bikes have gotten longer, slacker, and bigger travel, baby. These things are sick, they're big bikes, and they're awesome. This category is the enduro category. This is more of a specific category. We're getting farther away from like the hardtail, the XC category, the trail category. These are not gonna be as good at pedaling. They're gonna rip downhill though. So when a trail bike is like pretty darn good at going downhill and uphill, these are gonna be very good at going downhill and at going uphill. And that's okay, that's not what these bikes are necessarily for. They're for getting you back up to the hill in an okay time and not too terribly painful, but they're really focused on going downhill as fast as possible. These bikes are gonna come in anywhere from 150 mils of travel all the way up to about 180. They're gonna be really long, really slacked. Their head tube angles are gonna be anywhere from maybe like 65 at the steepest out to maybe a 63-degree head tube angle even. They typically have flip chips, so you have a high and low position, just for an example, so you can actually change the geometry a little bit and make it slacker or steeper depending on your terrain or what you're looking for. So we typically don't see very many beginners jump into this category just because it is so specific. This is maybe somebody looking to do a lot of bike park laps like at Howler, or you're really interested in doing some like rock tech and just sending it gnarly, or you're interested in big jumps or drops and you want that forgiveness, you want the bike to be soaking up your mistakes. That's where these bikes come into play for people that are just getting into it. If you're also really interested in doing some like downhill or enduro style racing, these bikes are perfect. Our last category that we're gonna talk about today is e-bikes. Now that can be somewhat of a buzzword. Some people don't love the idea of e-bikes. It's kind of a controversial topic in the bike world, but We don't look at it that way. There's a bike for everybody, and e-bikes fill an awesome category. You can get way more laps in, you can get a ton of miles in, and you're still getting exercise. They're awesome bikes. These are a much broader category because I'm just saying e-bikes, not enduro or trail or XC e-bikes. They can be hardtails, they can be full suspensions, they can be long travel 29ers, they can be short travel 27.5s. There's plenty e-bikes out there. They are quite a bit heavier than other bikes. They're typically 45 to 50 pounds, but Transition has just released the Relay, which can get you down into the low 40 pounds, which is pretty incredible for a bike. You can take the battery out and just rip it wherever. So the e-bike technology is only going up. This category is something that I can't wait to see as it develops over the next 5 to 10 years. These bikes are great for someone that maybe wants to get a lot of laps in a short amount of time. Somebody maybe getting off work at 6 p.m., sun goes down at 7, they still want to rip and they don't want to have to only get 1 or 2 laps in, they want to get more. So e-bikes are great for packing more in less time. These are great bikes, you just got to charge them. I hope this shed some light on answering your questions for buying a mountain bike. We'd love to have you come in and we can set you up on one of our bikes, get you going, get you happy on the trails. If you can't come in, you can check out our website, hallerbikeco.com, and see all the bikes we got on there and the gear to match with it. If you have any questions, you can contact us at info@hallerbikepark.com. We'd love to help you out. Thanks, guys.